What's up, guys? We're back with episode 2 of our Teaching Zach to Program in Rust series. Today, we're looking again at Project 1 of the Crawford Programming Projects, where we're doing some molecular geometry analysis, as you can see on the screen. And last time we were here, we basically read this coordinate data into the program and split it up into a format that we're ready to work with. So, Zach, why don't you show them the code you wrote last time, and we'll go ahead and get started with today's video.
All right, perfect. So this is the code that I wrote last time. So in the last video, essentially what we had done is I learned how to use the documentation in order to search for essentially exactly what I wanted to do for the first part of project or step one, which was to read a file, in which we ripped straight from the documentation on how to open a file. We just searched open or file open, and it gave us basically this entire thing right here down to about right there, which literally just reads this file that I've given it. And then from here, I was able to read it to a string. And then in order to finish step one of project one, I essentially made a couple of vectors to store each of the different parts of the input file. So we have the charge as well as the X, Y, and Z coordinates split individually. And we also down here were able to put them into their necessary types. So we have integers and we have floats. That way we are ready to do some basic mathematics on the numbers for whatever we need. So that's essentially what we did in step one or for video one.
Beautiful. Why don't you give it a run? We'll just see what comes out. Get us
All right.
back in the mindset.
Back in the saddle. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said, we split everything that we needed. So here's our charge vector. It's got our charges. Our X vector gives us our X coordinate, so and so and so. And then for posterity, we have the whole thing down here.
Perfect.
Works as intended.
Okay, so what do you want to do today?
So I think that today it would probably be good to refactor the code, and start to pull out the pieces that could have been their own individual function, outside of the main function, just so the main function looks cleaner than it does right now. Because I feel like most of this could have been just one function that's just read and split. You know what I mean? So I feel like learning how to refactor today and then using that knowledge for the subsequent steps is probably a great place to start for episode 2.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we'll get to take a look at functions, basically. We've seen a very basic function with fn main up here. But today we'll get to factor one out that will probably take some arguments. It'll probably return some things other than a result. So we'll get to play along with that.
Okay,
Um,
great.
so actually, one nice thing about our setup here in Emacs is that Rust Analyzer provides some tools for refactoring. So, as a first step, you can really just visually select the code you would like to extract into a function, and we'll see if the code action handles it for us.
No way. Can
Yeah,
you really?
yeah, yeah.
Man. All right. So I guess my next question is
Yeah.
then, would all of this be one function or would this be two separate functions?
So there's a quip from a famous computer scientist that says there are like two hard problems in programming. Uh, I don't remember what the first one is, but the second one is naming things, and
Okay.
often coinciding with naming things is determining where to split things.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
So there's a lot of taste involved here, um,
Yeah, right.
but I think, yeah. I mean, what are you thinking? What I think you, yeah, yeah,
I I think just from my personal perspective, or at least my naive perspective on how to handle this problem,
yeah,
it would be good to make this whole thing one function.
yeah,
Because if in the future you just give it an input file that has the number of atoms and then the Cartesian coordinates with the charge, you're done, essentially. You don't have to do anything else.
yeah.
This is one function, handles everything. It takes a file, and then it will just return whatever it returns. In this case, it returns these vectors.
That sounds great to me. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so
So
just go ahead and select visual select.
all of this.
You probably want to leave that line in main.
This line.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that will tell the language server that we need to return these variables.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so I would freak from here up, I guess,
Yep,
right, all the way up here.
yep. And
Okay.
then I think we bound Control C A to the things.
Control C A.
There you go,
Whoa!
extracting the function. Yep.
Control C A, dude. Man, that is sick. Dude, this is
Boom.
so cool.
Wait.
Let.
Oh
Oh,
yeah. Okay. I thought it was gonna move it up, and it moved it down, and I was like, "Wait,
yeah,
main is the same."
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Can I hit F6 to reformat this,
Yes,
please?
please.
Wait, it's not doing it.
Oh, I think that's just because your font is so large. It's probably not
Oh.
actually long enough to reformat.
Okay.
So you can drag the split over if you want,
Okay.
so we can see it all.
Hello. The split. The split.
You may have to select it at the in the mode line at the bottom, the gap between the panes down there.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so this is funk main.
Yep.
Dude, that's so cool.
And
Man,
see
that is
now
really
it's actually it finally figured out the right types for those stupid vectors that it was saying.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I think
finally
you're
the
right.
inlay hand's updated.
At the end of the last video, you said you probably have to revert the buffer. Did this like revert
Oh
the
yeah,
buffer maybe?
yeah.
Okay. Man, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
All right.
pretty
So
sweet, right?
this is yeah, this is really cool. So for this fun name.
So something else you can do, go on fun name. Let's try to come up with a reasonable name for this.
Okay.
I think it should be meta X. I don't. This is probably not bound. It's bound in LSP mode, but I don't know about eglot. It should be eglot rename. I'm guessing.
Oh, there it is. Rename the current symbol to new name.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I see.
So you can just type a new name. And the nice thing about doing it this way is that even if you have like duplicate variable names, you know,
Yeah.
if you did like %s, it would just like blindly replace all of them everywhere. If you do it this way, you're actually relying on the language server to understand the language.
Okay.
So if you had a variable named fun name, this would not try to replace that. It would only replace the function named fun name.
I see. Okay. All right. So I got to rename it to something fun or to something better than fun name. I don't know. I always feel I don't know what to name these functions because like I would just say literally what it does.
Yeah.
Which is like file to vec. You know what I mean? Or like file to pieces or something to that effect.
Yeah.
But I feel like
that's
too
fine.
long.
It's your code.
All right. What would you name
my
it?
only consideration would be, what are you actually doing? So what is the thing that you're trying to load? Like you're not just loading some like random file, general file. You're loading a specific
You're
thing.
loading the geometry file.
Yeah. So I would maybe call it like load geom.
Okay, that makes sense. Load.
But again, naming things is a major problem in programming.
Oh, and it changed it here
Yeah.
too. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's what I was getting at. It's basically a global replace, and it'll actually work across files. Like you can do that for a whole project with the language server.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Okay, great. So we made a new function. Beautiful.
Yeah. So now let's look at this a little bit. Can you tell what it's doing? So I know we talked a little bit about the arrow and return values with the result yesterday, but why don't you explain to me like what it's returning here?
Okay, well it's returning everything that I would like it to return. The string. Oh, I see. Okay. So I guess in order of the things that it's returning the contents.
Yep.
Which is this. It's returning my integer vector, which is the charge, and then the x, y, and z coordinates respectively.
Yep.
It's also returning an error in case an error is thrown for some reason or another.
Perfect. Yep.
And so with a question that I do have from yesterday's video, and it looks like my comment is gone, but we had.
Oh no! It shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So the comment is gone. The comment that I had from the previous video was, this question mark essentially says, returns the file if the file is present, if not error out, or something like that. If I had this question mark, it would still return this error because that's what it's supposed to return, right? Or
what's your question? I think you're asking a good question, but I didn't quite understand.
okay, so this function returns two things. It returns the thing that you want it to return if it works properly.
Yeah.
And it returns an error if it didn't work properly.
Right.
And that's just how standard functions work.
No. You can have functions that don't return results.
No. I meant. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if we had done, I think, yeah, we used unwrap down there on the parse.
Mm-hmm.
So parse returns a result. One of the things you can do with a result is unwrap it, which says just crash if you get the error version.
Okay.
So if you replace your question marks with unwrap, you could get rid of all of this result stuff.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, you could replace question mark with unwrap. We could actually replace your match with unwrap. I think that was useful for talking about what the question mark does and a little bit about results.
Yeah.
But in practical code, you probably should replace that with a question mark. And the LSP actually might help you with that if you want. Like if you put your cursor on match and you hit Control-C-A, it might actually have a suggestion there. Or not.
If let.
Yeah, we could talk about if let if you wanted, but it's
not
kind
particular, of not as
yeah,
of, not
it's
right
kind
now.
of a special case of match, so it's not too important right now.
All right.
But yeah, you could replace that match with question mark, and then we could replace the question marks with unwraps, and then that would simplify your return types.
So what would the return type be if I did have an unwrap?
Yeah. So
what would the
it
return...
would. So again, if you look at result, result is actually generic over two types. It's generic over the type of the OK, and it's generic over the type of the error.
Okay.
So right now, your return value says it either returns a result, which can be an OK containing a string, a vec usize, vec f64, vec, or it can return an error containing a standard IO error.
Okay.
So if we got rid of the result, it would just return that first thing. It would just return and the parentheses actually mean a tuple. So in Rust, you can't actually return multiple values, but you can pack your multiple values into a single tuple, is what it's called.
Okay.
And then you can unpack the tuple, as you see up in main. So it basically looks like multiple return values, but technically in the language, like you're returning one tuple.
Oh, okay.
Which helps with the compiler and everything.
Okay.
So yeah, that you could do that for sure. And one reason, so just to justify why you would use a result and why it's probably okay to unwrap here, is you would do a match like this, like your match file open, if you could do something useful in the error case. So
sure.
Let's say you want to try to load a geometry from geom.txt, but if you fail to open it, you can supply some default value. Then it would make sense to have this match. But right now, in the error case of your match, it just says to do, so it's going to crash anyway. So there's basically no difference between what you're doing here and just typing unwrap. Hello, Larry.
He wants to learn how to code. Okay, please don't walk on my keyboard. Oh,
Uh-oh.
there you go, buddy.
So yeah, but it's up to
Uh,
you. So we can play with unwrap, do a little more refactoring, or we can accept this refactor and just go back to working on bonds.
Now let's do some more refactoring. That way I can get a sense
Okay,
for how like practical Rust
sure. Why don't you? I guess
programming
first things first.
works.
Why don't you save this and run it again and just let's just make sure that everything looks okay.
Okay. Sure
Since
does.
eglot ate your comment, I'm a little skeptical already. You know, it could have done something else.
I can't believe it ate the comment. Like that. This doesn't make any sense.
I actually can't believe that, and that is probably a bug.
Okay. All right. Now.
Okay, so it at least produced code that can compile. Good sign. Okay, so now why don't you go ahead and do what we were talking about?
Do I want to put like to use unwrap or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, is that yeah? What parts were you interested in?
I guess I don't know.
Oh, then do you want to refactor or do you want to go back to the bond links?
No, I mean I'd like to refactor. I don't know like what the best course of action to refactor is. I mean, is using dot unwrap a better solution, or is like using the question mark a better solution in this case because it's just like a file open?
Yeah.
Um, so the return type, I guess. So like this return type, if I put dot unwrap in all the necessary places,
Yes.
what would the return type be? Just an empty result, or
No, it would get rid of the result entirely.
okay,
It would so you can think of results. The reason it's called unwrap is a result basically wraps your return type.
okay,
So you see actually at the bottom of this function, instead
yeah,
of just returning your tuple of contents charge XYZ, you have to wrap it with OK.
okay,
So
I
if
see.
you unwrap it everywhere, you would just return that tuple.
Okay,
Um, I think one refactor would be like your comment said, like we can just replace this match with a question mark.
okay. I mean, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. And if you want to
Because
be really pedantic, um, I think technically the other thing, like switching to unwrap and replacing the return value, isn't strictly a refactor because it changes the behavior of the code.
oh, okay,
and
okay,
and the signature.
okay. Okay. I must have. Oh, the match. That's right. Yep, yep,
Yep.
yep, yep, yep. Okay. Hey, we're cooking. We're cooking over here. Hey yo. All right now. Woo. Okay. All right. So
Nice.
that's at least one thing. That's at least one thing that I've changed. All right. Good. Perfect. Um. If you. All right. I guess. Would you use the dot unwrap for this for some purpose or
Yeah.
yeah? So I'm assuming that the thing that would I use would dot unwrap go at the end of right here?
Um, are you on the line you mean to be on?
Yeah. So no, then the dot unwrap would not go here. It would go here.
Yeah. So dot unwrap is going to take the place of the question mark
Oh, okay, cool.
because so you can think of the question mark actually as being unwrap or return.
Okay,
That's pretty much all the question mark is.
okay. So I would do dot unwrap here,
Yep.
and then I would give it this
Yep.
whole thing. Um, but this would only take care of the string, right?
Uh, Yes.
Okay. So then the next question that I have then is, if I'm already unwrapping this here,
Yeah.
why is the result type all of this then?
Ah, okay, good. So the result, remember, is the function return type. So
Yes.
it applies to your whole function, not just the stuff inside of the function. Like it's telling other people what you're going to return to them.
Okay.
So these unwraps that you just changed, actually you were already unwrapping the stuff locally in the file.
Okay.
But by using the question mark, you were saying if something went wrong inside the function, you were just going to pass along the error.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I think so.
I see how it's kind of a subtle distinction.
I think that where I was confused on was like if I used the dot unwraps in certain places, I could essentially delete this whole result right
Yes,
here.
you can.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And it would just be like an empty result.
Um, why don't you show me what you mean by empty result?
Okay. All right. Actually, this is good right here. So like right here, that is what I would assume would go here when I use dot unwrap. Like it would just be empty. Like these parentheses would be empty.
No.
Okay. All
That
right.
tells you that the OK variant is empty. So that's what happens when you're just returning a result to say whether something is okay or not.
Okay.
But what you want to do, you still need to return your string and all the vex.
Right. Okay. Okay. Okay.
So you can eliminate result entirely.
And just return the error or return everything? Oh no, because error was within result.
Yeah, error is one of the variants of result.
So
So
like
you can
I would just
completely get rid of result. Yeah, just delete the word result and the angle brackets.
oh man, that's kind of scary. How do I know what I'm getting out of this function?
What you're okay, don't delete everything. Delete the word result. Because you still have to know what you're getting out. That's exactly right. So delete the less than, and then
And
go
I'll do it.
delete the part that says error. Like comma, delete from the comma to the other angle bracket.
Okay.
There.
Okay. And so this down here, this okay is still good then? Because we were still
Well, why don't you save it? It'll tell you whether or not it is. So that's what's really nice about Rust. Like the compiler will always tell you what's going on, or the language server in this case.
okay. All right, so it definitely says it's definitely got some upsetty spaghetti type stuff going on.
Yeah.
All right. I guess this is where I should run it and it will
Sure. Yeah.
hopefully help. Oh no. Okay. Okay, so the question mark operator cannot be applied to this type. Okay. Help. The trait try is not implemented. Okay.
Yeah. I think the next error might be more helpful.
This one here.
Yeah.
Okay. The question mark operator can only be used in a function that returns result or option. Okay. So that just tells me that when I'm up here, I would need to delete this question mark, at least to take care of that one result
Yep.
or that one error. Okay, so I got rid of that one.
Yeah, because remember the question mark unwraps or returns the error, but you're already returning the unwrapped value now, so you don't need the question mark on the call to Logion.
Right. Okay. Okay. This function should return result or option to accept this. Does this message right here go with this?
Yes.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay, so this function should return result to accept this. Okay, so that's basically the same thing here.
Yeah,
Okay,
you actually already fixed one instance of this error, but we never actually saw that it was an error.
I see. Okay, so now we have we got something else going on here.
Yeah, you actually got a new error after
Okay,
fixing one.
okay.
And I mean, the language server, you should be able to hover over it. Yeah, okay.
So method not found in result file error. Oh, okay. The method read to string exists on the type file. Okay. Consider using result expect to unwrap the file value, panicking if the value is a result error. So this is where I would use file.expect reason or whatever.
Sure.
That's very interesting. Okay, so file dot expect,
Yep.
and then what is so this reason? What
Yeah.
is the reason? What does that mean? Like,
It's
oh, is it saying that I should expect there to be an error? I don't understand what
yeah,
that
yeah.
means.
So expect is just unwrap with a custom message.
Okay.
So when you just
Would
call
them
unwrap, it's just going to panic directly. But if you
uh-huh.
call expect, you could write something like failed to open file. That's what it means by
Uh-huh.
reason. Like that's a user supplied reason, what you want to
Okay.
say if it fails.
Oh, okay, sure. I'll type that. Failed to open file. Perfect. That's easy.
Yeah.
And then dot read string.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's good with me. I like that. And then the last thing is this okay contents here. So it says, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and expected this because of the return type, and I'm assuming the return type has something to do with this okay down here,
Yep.
or it okay. So it expected this note expected tuple found in enum. Okay. So I just delete contents charge X, Y, and Z then from this lit? No? Okay.
So it says expected tuple
Yeah.
found enum result containing your tuple if you look at it.
Okay.
So, do you remember what we had to do to the return type when we deleted result? Now you need to delete the result from the actual return. So, OK is a variant of result. So, you need to clean up the last vestige of the result.
Oh, right. Okay, because okay belongs to result.
Yes.
Okay. So like I would just it just there's no okay anymore. It just
Yep.
the function is just over and done with.
Yep.
Okay.
Uh, so remember, you want to return some values. You just don't want to wrap them in OK.
Okay. So I just don't need okay
Yeah, you just don't need OK.
like that, and then what I get rid of the
One more set of parens. Those were from the OK. There.
okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so this result stuff I think was really confusing to start out with. Because
Yeah.
let's take a quick look at your function now, right?
Yes.
You've got fn load geom arrow, so returns,
Yeah.
a tuple containing a string and 4 vectors.
Yes.
Does that all make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so that's what most functions look like.
Okay.
Results are another layer on top of that. So you can I think usually you would see this in the reverse order. You would have a function like this that returns a thing. And then in the future, if you wanted to be able to say, oh, this returned successfully or not, then you would actually add the result return rather than trying to subtract it off like we just had to do.
Okay.
that would don't think too much about that. I'm just
Okay.
saying like I think that would have been a more natural way for you to encounter this concept.
Okay.
But because we're dealing with files and stuff can fail, we were faced with this result stuff from the beginning.
I see. Well, it says I still have something going on here.
Yep.
So if I do this, it says remove this mute. The variable does not need to be mutable. It no longer needs to be mutable for some reason.
Yep.
So why does it not need to be mutable?
I think because the expect is doing something magical slightly.
Magical. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I go to the is there
Yeah, so go put your cursor on read to string. Yeah, or go over here.
read?
It's fine. Yeah, put your cursor on read to string and hit Control CD.
Okay.
Yeah, so it does say that it needs to be ref mute. That's why I said expect must be doing something magical. Because
Okay.
expect is like unwrapping it and then allowing it to be mutable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can I all
I
right.
think another thing you could do, you remember how we put the unwraps on the end of the lines before? For example, your read to string line ends with dot unwrap.
Yes.
If you move your dot expect onto the file open line, I think it will also need to be mutable again.
Okay.
Again, expect is doing something weird here. But this is one of those situations where I know this is hard when you're learning, but this is a situation where it doesn't actually matter. Don't worry about it. If the compiler tells you it doesn't need to be mutable, just delete the mutt and and move on with your life.
Beautiful. Okay. Sounds good to me.
So either one of those options I think would be good.
That is amazing. Hey yo, look at that.
There you go.
All right, so we did some refactoring.
Yeah. This would be a great time to commit.
I'm not committed.
All right. That's okay too.
OXB. Unstaged. SCC. Commit. Let's see. Refactor. Moved. Loading geometry to own function.
Nice.
And refactor. Okay. Now that that's a good thing, now I can hit Control C.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. Well, that's committed.
Very nice. Yeah, I always like to do that. I mean, it's a good habit, I guess, like when you're working with people, and so you can revert stuff in the future. But I also like to just take a second and basically summarize what I just did.
That's good.
Now,
Nice.
one other thing, just while we're here, you can close the get stuff. But if you wanted to add documentation to the function, the way you do that is right above the function, you start a comment with 3 slashes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Like that?
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I mean, I kind of feel like
this one might be self-explanatory, but I just wanted to throw it out there. Now that we're writing functions, if you want to document them, this is how you do it. I mean, you could just say something simple like load a geometry from geom.txt.
Load a geometry from geom.txt and split it into appropriate into apropos.
Yep.
Appropriate vectors.
Perfect. Great, you documented your function.
Oh my God.
Now, actually, one thing I was thinking about here that I thought you might catch when I was talking about the documentation is that this doesn't actually do everything that you mentioned earlier. Remember how you said you might at some point might want to read from a different file?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This
This.
function
Oh
does
yeah.
not do that.
This one specifically loads from this one specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very. It's not. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not. I don't know what the word is. I know.
Reusable,
Yeah, I guess reusable.
something
I
like
was trying
that.
to say something like it's something else, but yeah, it's not
Modular.
re. Yeah. So I mean, like, um, how would I tell it to load from like? Okay, if I was to do this from the command line, maybe not. Maybe that's not what I would want to do. But I don't know. I feel like there's many different directions you can go with giving this a file, right? Like you
Right,
could.
so let's start with this at the function level. So I wasn't getting at like if you wanted to run this as its own program. I just
Okay.
mean if you wanted to call loadgeom as a function on a different file.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about return types, but this would bring us to arguments, like passing arguments to functions,
Yeah.
which is going to be
Okay.
important, I think, when we start computing bond length.
Yeah.
So I
Well, then I
think,
mean, I guess file would have to take some argument, right? Like
yeah.
this file open would have to take an argument.
So file open already takes an argument, and you can actually see this from the inlay hint. It takes,
A
it names
path.
its argument path, and it takes a string basically.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is allow your function to take an argument that it can pass down to file open.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Well, okay, we don't have to do this. It's just an idea because you mentioned
Well,
it
yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So what were you saying? You said we would need to do what to pass it to file open? We need to give the function something to pass to file open. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we going too fast? I don't want to. We might be overloading you. We've covered a lot of new stuff today already.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm quite ready for that one just
Okay.
yet.
Forget I said anything. How do you
Okay.
feel about what we have done? I know the result stuff felt a little tricky. Do you have any lingering questions on that?
I think if I do, I wouldn't know how to ask them.
Do you feel uneasy? I feel a little bit uneasy. I feel like you might be uneasy. Is there? Do you want to try to talk about anything?
I mean, I guess I still don't quite understand like the whole result thing. Like I don't necessarily know a lot about the what that does. I mean, is result is what is result? Like what is result?
Okay, so let's write our own result really quickly.
Okay.
Just go to the top of your file, above main, below the imports. Okay.
Okay.
Type the word enum.
Enum.
Space. Capital R result. Less than. Capital T. Comma.
Okay.
Capital E. Greater than. Space. Curly brace. Enter. Okay. Open paren T. Open paren, sorry, not curlies.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, close the paren, comma, enter, err, ERR, open paren E,
Okay. E.
capital
Like
E,
Capital E. Okay. I guess I should have figured that out. Okay.
Comma, enter, close, curlies. That is result right there.
Okay.
So, result is an enum, and what an enum is it lets you say that a particular type is either the first thing, the second thing, and that can keep going. Like you could have many variants.
So result is a type of something.
Result is a type
Okay.
that can either be type A, type B, in this case just A or B. But for example,
Okay.
in PBQFF, I can specify the coordinate type as an enum. It can either be symmetry internals or Cartesians or normal coordinates.
Okay.
So an enum just lets you say something can be one of these number of things.
Okay.
And
And is
then a really handy thing about enums in Rust is that you can put different data in each of those variants.
okay.
So for example, to go back, does the PBQFF example help? I just thought it might help to be
Yes.
in that domain.
Yes.
So in PBQFF, for example, the symmetry internal coordinate type is allowed to hold an int.dir file.
Yeah. Right.
I
Okay.
don't need an int.dir file for Cartesians or normal coordinates.
Right.
So only that variant is what it's called of the enum holds that data.
Okay.
Now, we've introduced something a little bit new here with result with the less than greater than. That just says it's generic,
Okay.
which means that T and E can be any type. So,
T and E. So T and E are also a type.
yeah, T and E are placeholders for any actual type.
Okay.
That's really what generics mean. Is like you're just saying that this data structure can work over many different types of types.
Okay.
Like you can actually write result more simply. Let's do that actually.
Okay.
So delete the less than greater than stuff. That's literally what result looks like in the standard library, which is why I wanted to write it that way. But delete that. Why not inside of OK, instead of T, let's just put in an actual type. How about F64?
Okay.
And then for E, let's just have U size. So that's the same thing, just without the generics. So
Okay.
what this enum is saying is that it can either be OK and give you a float, or it can have an error holding a U size.
Okay.
So that's all result is. And in Rust, people use this to tell you basically if a function succeeded or failed.
Okay.
So what we were doing earlier is either I will give you the string and all the vex if the function succeeds all the way through, or I will pass along the error from
Sure.
failing to operate on the file.
So if the function returned the string and 4 vectors successfully,
Yeah.
it just returns those types, or it returns, what does it return? It returns the contents of those types. I think when I'm thinking of like returning something, it is actually literally giving me a thing. Like,
That's
so
right. Yes.
what is it giving? What is it giving me? Is it giving me the stuff that I said that it gave me, or like what is it giving me?
Yes. It gives you things of those types.
Okay.
So when you call loadgeom, it gives you, and you can see this from the inlay hints in main, right? So way over on
Yeah.
the right, you're actually calling loadgeom.
Right.
And then on the left, you're assigning the output to all these variables. And you can see
Okay.
it's giving you contents, which is a string. It's giving you charge, which is a vec u size. And then it's
Yes.
giving you
Okay.
x, y, and z, which are all vecs f64s.
Okay.
That's why when you use the result, it adds one extra layer on that you have to unwrap. So if you wanted that let to work on the left, if loadgeom returned a result, you would have to unwrap it somehow.
Okay.
Because so that's, I guess this is like a syntactic thing, is whatever's inside these variants on the enum, it says okay, open paren, and then there's something inside, and then a close paren. To get that out is basically unwrapping. Like you're unwrapping, taking off the okay, taking off the air to get at the value that's inside.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, that helps.
Okay.
I think that helps anyway.
Yeah. So this
And
is
so
really powerful like in I know I wasn't gonna say like I wasn't gonna mention other languages, but just to give you like a flavor for what problem this solves. Let's say if you were writing this function in C, and something went wrong with a with opening the file. I think the usual thing to do is you set some global variable to a number, like -1.
Okay.
So somebody has to call your function. Then to see if it worked, they go look at like error no, like ERRNO, error number. And if it's
Okay.
-1, then it's like they know it didn't work. Whereas
Okay.
in Rust, you're able to encode it in this result type.
Okay. And so we essentially just threw all of that away by doing this unwrap stuff.
Kind of, except that the unwraps will crash immediately.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, you want to do all this result juggling if when you get the error variant, you can actually do something useful.
Okay.
If you don't care, you can just unwrap. You can always just unwrap.
Okay.
So anytime you see a function returning a result, you can just think in your head, "Oh, gotta unwrap it."
Okay. Unless you can do something interesting or something cool with, or what would you do with the error?
So I
Like,
gave
can
an
you think like
example. Yeah, I gave you an example earlier about like if you have a sensible default value.
okay.
So in this case, right, you've got file open. If that open fails, maybe I want to catch the result. I want to catch the error. And maybe a better example that I use often is I temporarily catch the error. I print an informative message to help the user debug the issue, and
Sure.
then I panic.
Okay.
So that's another thing you could do.
Yeah,
Or
that makes sense.
some errors you can actually catch. For example, um, if there's an error reading from some kind of like internet connection,
Hmm.
maybe that's okay. I just had like a transient internet error. I should retry. So that's another case where
Oh,
you would not unwrap. You want to actually get the error, inspect it, and possibly do something else depending on what it says.
possibly try again if
Yeah,
that's a sensible outcome. Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
Okay.
So
I think I
results are really powerful, which is why they're so confusing at the beginning. Like there's a
I see.
lot here to unpack.
Right. The idea of an in enum, like,
Yeah.
does that stand for something?
Yeah, enumeration. It lets you
Okay.
enumerate all of the possible outcomes.
Oh yeah. Okay. So then essentially we changed the function to not return result,
Yeah.
change the function to just return the things that we did in the function.
Yeah.
And so we had to take away all of the um, remnants of the result type or enum.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
We had to take off all the parentheses, right? Like it would have remember it literally looked like this. It said okay, open paren, and then your tuple at the bottom.
Right. Yeah.
We had to get rid of okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now if it doesn't, now if it, so let's just, for some odd reason,
Yeah.
um, my cat accidentally, rm, removes my
Yeah.
geom.txt set of test files, it would just panic, it would just
Yeah.
crash.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
But
This is a great thing. Like try it out. That's one of the great things about programming. Like see what happens. Change the name of the file you're trying to open and just
yeah,
see what happens.
okay,
Test files not a real geom.txt. Fake file.
geom.tt, dude.
Yeah, TT, you forgot the X. Great. Give it a run.
Result. Oh.
Yeah, failed to
uh,
open file. No such file or directory.
failed to open file, baby. That's
Here,
funny.
now go grab your expect. Remember, like what I was saying earlier, you could put the dot expect on the end of that line.
At the end of this line.
Or wait, oh no, it already, yeah. Your expect already triggered. Never mind. Yeah. So there's your message: failed to open file, colon, and then that's the actual error message.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
So if I still wanted to use result and not unwrap everything,
Yeah.
would I be able in the error to print something like this as well?
Yeah. So
So this is
that would bring you back towards the match that we had originally.
right. Right. Because when we used the question mark, it didn't. We couldn't like it. It took care of like the okay and the error.
Yes.
But if we didn't have the question mark and we had match, we could say okay just gives us the file
Yep.
to do stuff later in the function.
And
And then
you could actually do more stuff with that okay. Like we just wrote OKF arrow F,
yeah, to
but
give
you
us
can
the
actually
file.
put a whole block right there. You could have a special message there that says, "I successfully opened the file. Here it is."
Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah, here you go.
Okay. And then I would be able to in the error type something to the effect of like, failed to open file.
Yes.
Are you sure you spelled it right or something stupid like that?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. I think I'm understanding now.
And if you were really ambitious, you could say, kind of like the compiler does, you could like list that directory and be like possible options. And if you're
Yeah.
really ambitious, you can compare each of the options to what they passed in and be like, it looks like you might have forgotten an X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possible user error. Please replace user and try again.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's cool. All right. I think I'm understanding result, or at least what we just did a little bit better.
Okay.
Result was just like a generic. It's just a generic type that you can return,
Yes.
and that holds because it's an enum, not a type, or it's a type of enum.
So enum. So the two type the two. I'll just say types that you can define. User defined types in Rust are enums and structs.
Okay.
So a struct always looks the same. Enums are allowed to have these variants inside of them.
Okay. So result is just an enum
Yes.
that can return as many types as you want it to return.
Well,
Or
an enum. An enum is a. Is that what you mean?
I meant I don't know what I meant. Hold on, wait. Let me try again.
Okay.
Is result a special type of enum?
No.
Okay.
Well, okay. I guess it's a little special in the way that it interacts with the question mark.
Okay.
But in a general sense, it is not special. Like, it's not really built into the language in any special way. It's just provided by the standard library. Like, the result that we wrote first with the generics is literally what result looks like in the standard library.
Okay.
So that's the cool thing is like you could define your own enum in this way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So result is just an enum, and in this case, the enum included an OK variant or an error variant.
Yep.
And we removed that from our function and just used unwrap.
Yes.
For some reason.
Well, it simplified the return type of your function.
Right.
Right. Remember,
because
your function used to return a result.
Our function used to return a result.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of just returning the things.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. Just making sure.
I mean, we could put it back. If you liked it better the other way, we could put it back. I just thought this might be nice.
I'm just trying to understand the difference, because at a basic level, it doesn't really seem like at this point it really doesn't. It just kind of seems like a design choice of the function.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Totally.
It's just a design choice, because if I wanted to. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
So one other benefit of this is if you look at your main function now, you'll notice that we're not using question mark in there.
Right, yeah.
So you can actually get rid of the arrow, and you can get rid of the OK at the end.
Get rid of the arrow? Oh, like I could get rid of the arrow and then this stuff here and then the OK?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's basically the reason that we in my view at least, that we did this. Is like we can actually completely dispense with results entirely, and we can just have a plain main, we can have a plain function signature on logeom, and we can just deal with the values directly.
All right, Mr. Krabs. Okay. All right. I think I'm actually feeling a lot better about that now that I understand what result is and what
Yeah.
all of that was, because it just kind of felt like it was just a lot of syntax, or at
Yes.
least a lot of words that I just could not, I just was unable to, I couldn't really think about it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's literally a lot of syntax. Like you have to know basically about generics because that's what the less than greater than means.
Yeah.
You had to learn about tuples today because
Yeah.
that's what the parentheses mean. You
Yeah.
had to learn about extracting values from variants, which is
Right.
what
Yeah.
like the parentheses on
Right.
OK are.
Right.
And it was all tied up with this little tiny bit of syntax in the question mark operator that was doing like a lot of magic for us.
Yeah. Right.
So yes, that it was a lot. It was a lot.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, it keeps screaming at me about this result being here, so I'm gonna delete this.
Yep, just delete that.
Okay.
And
I'm
then
gonna delete this too, just for
oh
fun.
yeah,
And I'll
beautiful,
delete that.
beautiful,
Money.
simple.
That's so cool. Look at that, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. I think you did a really good. We did a good amount of refactoring today.
Yeah.
I think that this is probably a good place to stop, at least for this, because it's just a clean, easy. We refactored. I learned a little bit about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think I was able to wrap my head around result finally.
Yeah. Great.
Now it seems like such a trivial thing, but also there's so much syntax involved
Yes.
and a lot of magic that can be applied to your functions.
Yep.
I think I think that was really neat to learn about, just because like the question mark in and of itself does that, like solves 4 lines of code. It feels like it took care of 4 lines of code, and then result had its own stuff, but now we're not using the result because if it doesn't do what we want, it'll just panic and for some reason and cry and boohoo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's really neat. I mean, and I guess it's good. I think knowing or taking this forward when we move to the rest of Project 1 for the Crawford projects, I think it'll make more sense going forward with returning stuff.
Yes. I think we had a lot of stuff to work out with return values, and I think that should be good. Now you should be able to pretty fearlessly make new functions. I guess the only lingering thing is still passing an argument.
Yes.
But we can cross that bridge when we get there.
We can burn that bridge when we get to it. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, then I guess. Actually, does this look any different than what I changed earlier? I want to go ahead and.
Yeah. So we can actually look at another feature of Maggot here. You can actually extend your previous commit. So if you stage that change, or do you want to make a new commit, or do you just want to like extend the previous one?
No, I would just like to extend the previous one.
Okay, so if you hit C, and then I think it's E, but we'll check the little menu that pops up. Yeah, E for extend. It'll just merge that in with the last one.
Nice. And now I want to go make sure I go ahead and push it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and hit Shift P, and then P to push to origin master.
Yep.
Look at that.
Nice. It's on GitHub. Everybody go look.
It's on GitHub. I'll make sure to put that in the description of my video.
Yeah.
If you want to follow along for some Rust quantum chemistry, I'll be sure to put that downstairs.
Very good.
All right. Well,
thank
awesome. You everybody for watching. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.
Same here. Thanks, Zach. See you guys next time.
Adios.